Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women around the world, the Big Dawgs are back. And before we hop into anything, I just want to say today is August 1st. And for anybody that knows about the month of August, this is a special, special day. From when we were kids, 5, 6 years old, flag football. Cam, what started on August 1st?
Man, it's camp season, right?
It is camp season. It is Pop Warner season. It is high school football season. I go back and I'm watching ESPN this morning, Cam. There is no more. The top 10 is not all baseball highlights. Football, I mean, OTA or not OTAs, mini camp is here. Football is back. Even on Thursday, Cam, and 2 days away, the Hall of Fame game is back. The greatest time of the world, the greatest time to be alive is here. August 1st, episode 18. The boys are back. Another milestone has been hit. We are joined by a special guest, UFC insider, Mr. James Frye, great buddy of ours, roommate, known this guy since we were about 10 years old. Hell of a guy. Can't wait to get into this podcast. Boys, I hope that was a good intro. How are we doing?
Doing good, man. Appreciate y'all having me on. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you. For those of you who don't know, we all roomed together for 3 years in college, basically. Been best friends basically since we met. So this is kind of a full circle moment here for the boys. Like Ward said, episode 18, man. August 1st, it's officially football season. When you hit August, it's football season. I don't care what you say. Like Ward said, the pads started popping today in the NFL. Truly exciting time to be alive here in the Fat Katz world, man. But before we get into it, I want to remind everybody, find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify at the Fat Katz Podcast. It's KATZ. Find us on Instagram and YouTube, or Instagram and TikTok, and Threads at Fat Katz Pod. T-shirts got ordered on Monday, Ward. T-shirts will be here in hopefully a month. I'm going to send everybody a text message to give them an update. Like we said, man, we're joined by Frye, our UFC insider here at the Fat Katz. But before we get into it, man, I got 2 stories I got to tell you guys. First of all, for anybody who follows our Instagram, the video I made of Ward with Toby Keith in the background talking about America, how we're the best country in the nation, all that, got taken down by Instagram last week. So I want to give a big, let's go L's in the chat to Instagram, man, for taking down our best post probably that we've made. Super sad about that, but we'll come back better. But this is really what I want to get into. So I was at Texas Roadhouse last night, boys, and I told you guys, but I had quite an interaction with the guy. So I'm at the bar at Texas Roadhouse. I get there, the bar is empty. It's me and like 2 other people. So I sit in the middle of the bar. I get my food, I eat and everything. Food's up by the bar, like I'm done.
How many rolls and cinnamon butter were eaten? Honey butter we're eating.
I went for the record, but I decided to stop myself at 6 because I had a 32-ounce porterhouse on the way, so I figured I'd just cut it off there.
Hey, and real quick, Cam, before you get into it, I want all of our listeners, there's NDAs involved, so I can't say who, but big shout out to Cam, landed his first big deal at work, huge deal. So give Cam a big shout out. Congratulations, brother.
Yep. Shout out to Big Cam, man, and the real work world making noise here finally. But yeah, man, so my food's done. I'm waiting on my check, Ward. And this guy comes up to me, and at this point the bar's full. It's me, and there's 1 seat to my left, and every other seat is taken. So there's only 1 empty seat. This guy comes up with his wife or girlfriend, whatever, and he says, "Hey man, why don't you let me and my wife sit there?" And I said, "Yeah, man, as soon as my receipt comes back, I'll get out of your way, no problem." He goes, "No, man, like, why don't you just get up and go stand by the cash register so me and my wife can sit here?" I was like, "No, man, I'm just gonna wait for my check. Like, no worry, like, I'm good. I'm just gonna wait for my check and then you can have it." So he got all pissed off and started walking away. And he was not a very nice guy about it. I will say that. So another guy comes up to me and he's by himself. He says, "Hey, is the seat taken sitting beside me?" I said, "No, man, you're good." So I let that guy sit there, and then I got up, paid for my bill. The first guy sitting by the door, the guy that got all pissed off, he goes, "Man, about time you got up. Is that seat still over there?" I said, "Yeah, man, you guys are more than welcome to take it." And I sat by the door and waited. and I saw he got pissed off, man. He started flinging his hands all up in the air because there was still only one seat left. So I want to ask you guys before we get into this. I also want to ask our listeners: am I the bad guy here? Like, is that going too far, or would you do the same in that situation?
Frye, I'll let you answer first, and I'll answer.
I don't know, man. It comes down to it. I'd probably spout off the mouth a little bit to the man. Just sometimes just got to give it back to him. You got to treat people how they treat you. You know what I'm saying?
Cam, in my opinion, you should have asked the guy before the rolls got there. I said, "Hey, man, you want an appetizer? I got a knuckle sandwich if you want one." But tell him to watch who he's talking to. You're the big dog. You're sitting at that bar. You don't move. He can work around you, Cam. You landed the big deal. You're the big dog.
That's a lot of man to be messing with too. Like, you don't see too many youngins walking around my size. I was surprised. I was caught off guard.
Hey, it's because you didn't have the hat on, isn't it?
Probably. That's another thing I wanted to say. You and Mom bullied me out of wearing my hat.
Hey, did we get 10 likes on the YouTube, by the way?
I didn't check, but I saw the curls flowing. I saw the curls flowing today, and I was like, I might as well go without a hat. So, but I do want to say that was my story. I want you guys to tap in because there was mixed reviews in the Taylor household. Pops thought it was hilarious. Mom was like, you probably should have done that. But yeah, I just want to get everybody's feedback. But as we get into it, Ward already said, I already said, episode 18, we've got first favorite and forgotten. So, Ward, I'm going to let you have the tee box, and then we'll go Frye. And we'll try to do it better than we did with Drew. I'll try to stay on track here. But give me your first guys that come to mind with number 18.
Number 18, and this is going to be, for any of our fantasy football players out there, this is going to be, I think, the unanimous number 1 pick this year. And his name is Justin Jefferson. Jay Jetta's LSU legend, national championship at LSU, or national champion at LSU, and a stud in the NFL. Cam, who's next?
Go ahead, Big Frye. Who's your first, man?
First, got to be Peyton Manning, man. I think you think of Peyton Manning. So I'd get Peyton Manning first.
For all of our listeners who didn't hear that, he said Peyton Manning. Frye lives out there in BFE, Rosewood, NC. Not too much out there, and same with the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is not too great out there either. But Peyton Manning was his first. Cam, who's your first?
Yeah, for me, it's Randy Moss. Growing up in West Virginia, you got to be a Randy Moss fan. He wore 18 for the Raiders for a very short stint with the Raiders. But Randy Moss was the first guy I thought of when I thought of number 18. And I'll let you kick it off with favorite here.
My favorite is actually going to be the greatest number 18 ever in the history of sports. And not to piggyback off Frye or anything, but I'm also going to go with Peyton Manning. But I'll give Frye, I don't know which Peyton Manning he's taking. Say he takes the Broncos Peyton Manning. I'll take the Colts Peyton Manning. So either vice versa. I'll take the other 18, whichever one Frye didn't take.
Frye, who you got here for your favorite 18?
Favorite's got to be A.J. Green, man. I feel like he's one of the best wide receivers we got to see coming up. 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. I mean, absolute savage.
Great
big
pick.
Body wide receiver is my favorite. It got to be.
Yep, I like it. I did not like playing that guy twice a year as a Steelers fan for most of my childhood, so I like that pick. I'm going to go Randall Cobb, Kentucky legend. First and foremost, one of the greatest Kentucky Wildcats of all time. Played most of his career in Green Bay. But Randall Cobb is by far my favorite number 18.
I had no idea that he went to Kentucky, but that's really cool. But I'll go ahead and start off with my forgotten. And this is another individual from West Virginia. Actually, he lived in West Virginia, but he went to Marshall, the big green school over there in West Virginia. But this guy, when he was drafted out of the University of Marshall, he wore 18 for a very, very, very short stint during his rookie minicamp with the Minnesota Vikings. And this individual's name is Randy Moss.
What you got here, Big Frye?
Yeah, so as far as forgotten, I went Jeremy Maclin, man. I don't know if y'all know him or not, but he was the old wide receiver for the Eagles back in the day. And just kind of thought about him. He signed a big deal with the Kansas City Chiefs there for a little bit, but I remember for the Eagles, one-time Pro Bowler, but that was who I thought of for forgotten guys.
Nice.
Yep, I struggled between Jeremy Maclin and this guy I'm about to say, so that was a great pull, Frye. With my forgotten, I'm going to go Sidney Rice. I think we've talked about him once on this podcast, Ward, but Sidney Rice had 2 years where he had over 10 touchdowns for the Vikings. He had one where he had 15. The dude was an animal with Brett Favre. Then he goes to Seattle on a big deal and just kind of falls off the face of the earth. So my forgotten here is Sidney Rice. We went super wide receiver heavy this draft as well, or
We
this
did go
first
wide
paper
receiver heavy.
forgotten. But
Absolutely did.
as we get into the show, obviously we're going to start out with fans' fat takes. We're going to move pet peeve of the week up this week because it kind of ties in with some of our comments. Frye's going to deep dive into 291 for UFC last weekend, which was a terrific card. We got a lot of football news coming your guys' way. And then to wrap up the show, we've got a Fat Katz draft for the best sports nicknames. I'm super excited about this one, Ward. We talked about it last week.
I hope I win this
Obviously, to end
week.
the show, full plate. Yeah, we'll get to that. Don't worry. But we got full plate empty stomach and then song of the week to get us out of here. But starting out, man, first comment, Logan Shoop, our boy, he's been here since day one. He wanted to let us know that his forgotten number 17 is Panthers legend Jake Delhomme. Took him to a Super Bowl. I don't disagree with this, man. Like, Jake Delhomme was actually a good quarterback.
Dude, if you were from North Carolina, everybody back in the day when we were 5, 6 years old, everybody had that big 17 jersey. This is such a funny story. This is the first jersey I ever had as a kid. I was 5 years old on Christmas morning. I woke up. My uncle bought, well, Santa Claus, but my uncle bought me a Panthers jersey with Jake Delhomme. And it was the blue alternate jersey. I used to wear that thing everywhere, man. So this really hit home for me, but especially for us living in North Carolina. Everybody knows I wouldn't call him a legend, but everybody knows who Jake Delhomme is.
He wasn't great, but he was like the first guy that you like, kind of like the first good Panther. I feel like
he was the first good. I can't think of any other good Panther before him.
Well, I mean, he was the first quarterback of their. Him and Vinny Testaverde were the two first quarterbacks.
They came in, the Panthers came in 99, right? I think it was 99.
99, 2000, yep.
Yeah, and then they started out, they actually started out in Clemson Stadium. They played in Clemson Stadium, and then they built that stadium in Charlotte. My grandpa was a season ticket holder. He was like one of the stakeholders. He was one of the original investors in the Panthers. So he was a season ticket holder, and they used to drive to Clemson, South Carolina every weekend to watch him play. Funny story.
Frye, you got any close to home Jake Delhomme stories for the podcast, man?
I did not, man. I did not. It sounds like I don't remember him being that big, but I do. I mean, I don't remember everybody having jerseys and everything like that. But I guess that was before my interest in football. So I guess he was pretty damn big. Come to think of it.
Yeah, the Panthers' first season, 1996. So it was 1995 when they were founded, 96 when they started playing. They played in Clemson University's Memorial Stadium.
That's awesome. I didn't know
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's very cool.
Justin will love that.
Yeah, just speaking of Justin, speaking of Mr. Consistency back again. He was drawing blanks on 17, but he did say Shohei Ohtani. What he brings to baseball is awesome and an incredible talent. I agree. Like, a guy that can pitch 100 miles an hour and hit 40 home runs a year. That's something we haven't heard of since Babe Ruth. He likes the Josh Allen, Adams, and Rivers call for last week. He said the dominant athlete draft was elite, and he thought we nailed it. Probably the only person on the face of the planet that said that, if we're being honest.
Thank you, Justin.
That one got a lot of backlash, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, I got you.
He liked the Barry Bonds edition. He does not think that Jalen Brown should be a $300 million guy. I think we both kind of agreed with him on that front. He said, I was correct. West Virginia did wax the Tigers 70-33. I think I said 13 in the podcast, in the Orange Bowl. But he attributes that loss to the climb of Clemson football. Brent Venables got hired as their DC. They go on to win some national championships and 6 college football appearances. So he's got a point there. all my family just about is West Virginia fans on my mom's side of the family, and they still wear their 70-33 Orange Bowl shirts to tell you where those two programs are at today. But again, thanks Justin for commenting and just being a part of this show, man. We love it. My pop says forgotten number 17, Doug Williams. He's the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl and also a former Redskin football team commander. So shout out to Pops for that one. Uncle Wheezy says no MJ, to which I replied we were saving him for the for the gambling addiction draft this week. He got a kick out of that one. He also said golf and NASCAR are not sports, so therefore he disavowed our two picks with Tiger Woods and Jimmy Johnson. And we've got a lot of hate this week for not having MJ, Wayne Gretzky, Messi, Roger Federer, and some other people in this. Ward, I think you have stronger feelings than I do, so I'm going to let you go ahead and get into this. This is going to be our pet peeve of the week, by the way.
And before I start off, Justin, I want to comment on what you said. You mentioned that the that big loss that Clemson had was the climb to Clemson football. Every state or every loss that NC State's had the past 5-6 years, it's the climb. We're on the climb of NC State football. The Dave Doran era is here. Fall camp started today. You're witnessing something great. But then what your dad said about forgetting Doug Williams. I did forget Doug Williams. I will admit. I do have a little bit of a reason for that. I didn't personally watch Doug Williams play. That was a little before my time. Back when we were good. We've sucked ever since I was a kid. But so that was the reason I didn't put Doug Williams in there. And all the hate that we got, I'm just going to go ahead and start this. Cam, you mentioned a lot of comments about how'd you leave this out? How'd you leave this guy out? Ward, how'd you not draft this guy? Cam, how'd you not draft that guy? Starting out, we are not a tennis pod. Me and Cam can give two shits about tennis. I'm not gonna say Roger Federer. I couldn't pronounce the guy's name last episode, and apparently he's the GOAT. So let's get that out of here. Not a tennis pod. We're not a baseball pod either. We throw that out there. So, and I mean, hockey a little bit. We follow the Hurricanes. Wayne Gretzky was way before Cam and I's time. So sorry we didn't watch Gretzky. But going off, I'm just going to go on a little comment on what I have to say here. I got a lot of hate for not adding a lot of people to my list. Cam got some hate for not adding people to his list. If y'all would stop being lazy and go listen to the episode, there's a reason why me and Cam don't have the same people, because it's a draft. We're not going in and not naming our top 5 people. We're having a draft. I didn't put Tiger Woods in my top 5. I had him on my list, I promise. Cam drafted him. That's why I didn't put it on mine. So for my pet peeve of the week, instead of making assumptions and making criticism, go and actually listen to the podcast before you make assumptions. Cam, passing it off to you.
Yeah, man, I don't get as heated about it as you do, but I will say it's funny to me, like, some of the names, some of the people will pull out for this stuff. Like, we did the running backs draft, and I had a guy text me that it was a travesty that Deuce McAllister didn't make our list. Like, and we're not old. Towards point, like, we didn't watch these guys in the 80s and 90s, so we're going to have a bias to the guys we've watched. Obviously, I'd Wilt, but, like, the dude scored 100 points in a game. Like, he's got to be on the list. So, for all the old heads, man, like, we respect these guys, but we didn't watch them, so we don't have as great of feelings towards them. But yeah, man, I don't get as tore up as you do.
Dude, I'm not going to name drop anybody, but I had people texting me 2 days ago. I had people texting me Sunday and Saturday. Can't believe you didn't put Tiger Woods on the pod. Go listen, and you'll know why I didn't put Tiger Woods on the pod. And I kept it brief with them. But yeah, it did a little bit get me. And I will say, credit to Cam. Cam, y'all listeners were biased, by the way. That was some BS. But nobody gave Ward any love. You know, I went on there and I said, hey, who's riding with Team Ward? I didn't get not one like on my Instagram comment, which is some baby back. I'm not going to watch my language, but some baby back BS. And you know what BS means. But come on, man, ride with your boy.
If anybody was curious, I won last week's draft, which this is a preseason. This is the inaugural season of the draft. After next football season, when we start it back up, we'll actually keep score. But for those keeping preseason scores, Big Cam won 74% to 26%.
At one point,
last week on the draft.
Cam was up 96-4. I said, "This dude's paying people. This is
with
BS."
with like 36 votes, by the way. It wasn't
96-4. I got to, and even my girlfriend voted for Cam. Thanks, Madison.
Oh, dang, man.
I know. So we see where you're going. It's supposed to be National Girlfriend's Day. Not getting you any flowers.
Yeah, man. That's a tragic story, man. That's brutal. I disavow Madison voting for me, by the way. I'll give you that vote back if it makes you feel better.
And now it's like 70-30.
Maybe she misclicked, man. Maybe she misvoted.
Yeah, I think there was a couple misclicks in there.
But my pet peeve of the week is NFL minicamp overhype, one way or the other. I'll get videos of guys missing one throw and people talking so much crap about them. And like Desmond Ridder got slammed yesterday because he missed Kyle Pitts on one ball. It came out that he went 25 for 26 in the scrimmage completion-wise, and that was the one miss he had. And then you'll see clips of like guys like Jackson Smith and Jibba who have like one great catch, and then it comes out he's had like 3 catches for 36 yards in the past 3 days of camp. So people that overreact to NFL minicamp, even before the pads come on, that's going to be my pet peeve of the week.
How about Dak Prescott's throw, 10 yards under throwing?
Throwing it to a 5'6" receiver into double coverage, man. That's what does it for me.
Yeah. So yeah, Dak
Prescott. That man Dak's going places. I tell you what.
Yeah,
he's a good man.
Me and Cam have had a couple arguments about Dak Prescott. We'll have to ask you about him off air. But hey, speaking of training camp, Terry McLaurin had a great one-handed catch today. Great one-handed catch.
You sent it to me. He looked good. It was a good ball, which we're not
good
used
ball
to.
by Sam Howell.
Yeah, so Sam Howell, man, look out. He's a dark horse for MVP candidate. If you can get that.
He's getting wrecked right now. Every time our offensive line is getting absolutely destroyed by our defensive line. Every time he snap, I've been watching videos. Every time he catches a snap and shotgun, he has 0.5 or he has 1.5 seconds. And then Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, and Daron Payne are all in his face. And obviously they can't hit him. So they stand there and go, woo, woo, woo.
What do they do?
Will you do that one more time just for
Frye, did Frye come with a pet peeve of the week in the chamber? You got one on?
I did not, but I can pull one out. I can pull one out if you want.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
I'd say UFC, man. Translators making about them, you know. I don't know if you guys saw that big. I don't know if you guys saw that Big Cat translating for Alex Pereira, but that was a tough listen, man. You know, greased up, bleached blonde hair, about 500 pounds. It's kind of hard to focus on the fight that just happened when that big mug's in the screenshot, you know.
For those if you don't know who he's talking about, picture me, Brazilian with blonde hair, about 5 inches taller and about 50 to 100 more pounds is what this guy looks like. But yeah, man, those guys get paid big money to translate UFC fights, man, believe it or not. I actually looked into it after my Spanish 2 class, after I failed Spanish 2 in high school. But speaking of UFC, man, great card. Salt Lake City got a damn good card for UFC 291.
They did. For
the Pick'em update, I went 3-2. Ward went 2-3. So for a final tally, we've got I'm at 6-4 right now, and Ward's at 5-5. We had Gaethje knockout Poirier. We had Pereira split decision over Jan. Bobby Green win over Tony Ferguson. Kevin Holland over Michael Chiesa, and Derek Lewis with a big time knockout over Marcos Rogerio de Lima. So as we get into it, I want to start at the top of the card, man. Poirier Gaethje, what were your thoughts going into the fight? Obviously a crazy finish. What was your first reactions after the fight, and what you think going next for both of these guys?
Going into the fight, man, I thought Poirier was going to take that one. His timing is incredible. So I mean, Gaethje's got the power, but as far as timing goes, that's kind of a Dustin Poirier kind of deal. I thought he was going to be able to pick his shots, and but that head kick knockout completely took me off guard. I was not expecting that. It was kind of funny too, because Kamaru Usman got knocked out with the same technique, and that's his training partner. So it was a little bit awkward after the fight. If you noticed the hugs, man, it was like, well, you know, you pulled one, got me. So, but that was a great fight. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, we heard from Ward that one of these guys might retire. I don't think it's officially happened yet. If you heard Poirier in the post fight, like it sounded like there was some questions there. I want to know, one, do you think that either one, like that Poirier will retire? And then what do you think next, like just in terms for Gaethje? Like what's next for Gaethje?
I don't think there's a chance either one. I didn't think there was a chance either one of them retired after that fight because I think Poirier, regardless win or lose, is going to end up fighting Conor again. I just see that trilogy taking place at some point in time, especially if Conor comes back and hits a loss. It'll still be a money fight because they're two big names. But Gaethje's got to fight for the title at this point in my eyes. I mean, after that kind of win and taking on up and comers before taking on Poirier, I mean, he's got to be next in line for the title.
Yeah. Ward, do you have anything you want to add on what happened? You know, obviously we know what you thought going in, but first reactions, everything like that after the fight.
Blew my mind. Didn't see it happening at all. I was sitting there watching it, and he landed that head kick, and I watched him fall out, and I said, "Holy crap!" But you know, that's what you live for, man. That's why UFC is one of the greatest sports in the world, because you never know what's going to happen. You always have to be at the edge of your seat. But the reason why I think there's a chance. You listen to his post-fight press conference. You listen to both fighters coming into the fight. They're like, look, we have one more title shot. We have one more run at the title in us. They're both getting old. They're both in their late 30s. You know, even Dustin Poirier after the fight, he goes, and I mean, maybe if the big money fight's there, I've proven all I've had to prove in the sport. I've beat all the big guys. I'm just curious to see. I think a guy like Conor, he fights again, but unless it's a title fight, I don't know who Dustin Poirier is going to come back and fight. I mean, just maybe big money fights. Yeah, maybe he goes up to 70 and fights a Colby Covington, or you know, it's just like other than that, I don't know. I don't see any title fight in the foreseeable future for him, and that's his main goal. So I'm curious.
You got to think too. Pretty big move in sports right now is like fighting, just not sports, but fighting is fake retiring.
Oh yeah,
UFC fighters say they're done. They're done fighting. They're retiring all the time, and then
Nate
the right
Diaz.
fight comes along. People want to see him, and they come back. So he might do that, but I don't see him going out until he gets another big money fight.
Nate Diaz, perfect example. Nate Diaz is fighting Saturday.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, money talks, especially in the fight world. You know, watch out for boxing matches with some of these guys, I would imagine, that are getting older. I do want to say, in terms of the whole card, one of the reasons I love this card, even though there's no championship fights, it felt like every single guy on the main card had to win this fight, whoever it was. Like, these guys are all on the brink of either losing their contracts or losing a title run, or you know, this is his first fight in light heavyweight. You need to make a statement. Jan, this is his last chance to get to a title fight. These guys put it all on the line for this entire card, which moves into the only fight that made it to distance this card. Frye, I want to get your thoughts going in, after, and then what's next for these guys, for Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira at 205.
Alex Pereira, man, I mean, you beat a former champ like that, you're getting a shot at the title more than likely. I mean, they kind of fed him to the wolves, and he's kind of proved he's definitely proved himself in my eyes. I mean, you know, you got to win over the champ at 85, and you got to win over the former champ at 205. I mean, he's definitely on the right track to get back in the title picture. But Jan, I don't really know where he goes after this. I mean, he's taken a few tough losses. I mean, you know, I think it's kind of tough for him to be back in the title picture. But like I was telling you in person when we were watching the fights, he's going to probably end up being kind of a gatekeeper role in that 205 division if I had to guess.
I know we kind of discussed this a little bit. Do you see like a move to heavyweight for Jan, like just to not to have to cut that weight anymore and to maybe try to make a run at heavyweight?
I don't see it. He could. He's getting up there in age. I mean, he's damn near 40, so I could see it if he gets tired of cutting the weight, but I don't think he will. I think he'll end up being more of a gatekeeper.
Gotcha. Ward, what were your thoughts after this fight immediately?
First thing after this fight, I said, I'm ready to see number 3. I'm ready. I think right now, if obviously this is in the future, but it plays out, Jan were to take the 205 belt, Izzy comes up to 205, and they fight for the light heavyweight championship. I think if the UFC promotes it right, that would be the biggest pay-per-view in the history of the sport. Incredible fight. After the first round, I thought that's how the fight was going to be the whole time. Personally, I thought Jan was going to lay on him the whole time. But, you look there, these guys are at 4,800, or I think they're at 5,200 feet of elevation, and you don't breathe the same up there. It's a lot harder to breathe. And if you look how tired Jan was, man, Jan could barely even stand up after the first round. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't have Pereira winning personally. I had Jan winning, but great fight.
I want to say shout out Connor James, who has quickly become like
Connor's the only one to call
#1.
Pereira winning. So
yeah, he called Pereira. He's also like the biggest hater right now of our podcast. So shout out to him for keeping the adversity coming. But me and Frye talked about it. We were really disappointed in Jan's conditioning.
I was too.
But I get like you're at that elevation, but it didn't affect anybody else on the card. So that's one thing I'll say, but that was one thing that really disappointed me. Pereira Izzy super fight at 205 would be cool. I think Pereira would dominate that fight actually because the weight cut's not there. Izzy didn't even make 205 when he went up to fight Jan. So I don't even know if he can pack on 205 pounds.
And I also don't think Izzy wants to fight Pereira again.
No, I don't think he wants any.
I mean, even the second fight, man. And Cam, you may disagree with me. Pereira lost. He got knocked out. One of the biggest knockouts ever. But you go back and watch that fight, dude. Pereira was dominating.
If I'm Izzy, I'm walking off.
It was a carbon copy of the first fight. Yeah, I wouldn't fight that man ever again. But to your point, where like that,
I would ride while you're on top.
But to your point, like that fight was a carbon copy of the first fight. Like it was leg kicks. He was killing his leg. Izzy hit that same punch in the first fight. It just didn't knock him out. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Moving on, we're out of order a little bit here. But Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green. I had Bobby Green winning this fight. He came out victorious, and it was tough to see our boy Tony, but Frye, kind of staying on the same pace here. Pre-fight thoughts, and then kind of what you thought after the fight.
And watching Tony's last few fights, I kind of had a feeling it was going to go the way it did. I mean, Bobby is notorious for being competitive until, like he may get stopped or something along those lines. But he kind of has that hands down Michael Venom Page, head bobbing and weaving kind of style. And I thought that would give Tony some issues, and it did. So that was kind of the way I felt that fight was going to go. But I think that's the last time we're going to see Tony Ferguson, to be honest. I don't think with stringing together that many losses and just kind of being a stepping stone as a big name, I think it's going to be the last time we see him.
Yeah, Ward, what was your thoughts coming out of that fight? I know you I think you had Ferguson on that fight.
I did. I really didn't think Ferguson would win, but he always got to ride with the legend. But yeah, Ferguson got his ass beat, and I think it's time for him to hang it up. He looks awful. I went back and watched him fight. I watched him and Donald Cerrone. No, I watched him and Kevin Lee fight a couple weeks ago. I went back on YouTube and watched it. And you look at him 5 years ago compared to now. I mean, it's like you can't compare, man. They look like two completely separate fighters. I mean, he looks 3 steps faster than he does now.
Me and Connor and Frye watched it all together here in Charlotte, and we were talking about, like, Connor said he missed a lot of Tony Ferguson's prime, he felt like. And
I feel like I did too.
Well, Tony, it sucked because he waited so long on Khabib between the injuries and making weight issues. Like, they never got to make that fight happen. So we really got robbed of like 2 years of his prime, it feels like. But like we all said, man, it was sad to see Tony Ferguson go out that way. Ward got caught drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. He heard him talking about chasing down bears with knives in the pre-fights. He started drinking the Kool-Aid, and Bobby Green came out and won this fight. You did get this fight right, Ward. Kevin Holland put a hurting on Michael Chiesa, man.
And Kevin Holland submitted Michael Chiesa as well. Submitted him. Michael Chiesa is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's known for his jiu-jitsu. And he got submitted by Kevin Holland. Michael Chiesa also looked awful. I think it's time for him to stick to broadcasting like a bunch of the other fighters were saying. I think he's another one. It's time for him to hang it up.
Yep.
I think a lot of people forget. A lot of people forget Kevin Holland is also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's not a big-time grappler, but he absolutely is dangerous on the ground. It's hard to tell when you're fighting Hamzat and all these big-time wrestlers, but he definitely does have some ground game. I was telling Cam about that this past weekend, and he puts you in trouble with his striking, and then he kind of looks for submissions. So I was impressed. I absolutely was impressed with that.
Frye, and he won't say it because he's too humble. But Frye called that like before the fight. He goes, I think Kevin Holland might get a submission here. And me and Connor James were like, dude, you're crazy if you think that. And sure enough, man, Kevin Holland gets a finish there. And he was actually the third fight, but I have him last year because he was supposed to be on the prelims. Derek Lewis bounces back, man. I couldn't be happier with a knockout over Marcos Rosario de Lima, a flying knee. I think it was a 37 or 38-second stoppage. Frye, did you see that coming, first of all? And, Derek Lewis, does he have one more title run left in him?
I don't think he has another title run left in him. I think he's going to have to settle for the being the knockout king. I think he'll be good with that, I would assume. But I did not see that coming. I was hoping he would win, but I think the more times they showed de Lima on camera, the more better I felt about Derek Lewis's chances. They were talking about how good he looked, and that was the same looking body of Derek Lewis we've seen throughout his whole career. I don't know what they were talking about, but then they pan over to de Lima, and he looked like shit. So I think that was the first time Derek Lewis was in better shape than his opponent, I believe. So I think de Lima was kind of destined for failure on that one.
And Ward, I got a Snapchat from you screaming, so I know you weren't expecting it, but just your thoughts of obviously Derek getting back on track and a great interview after the fight. What were your thoughts coming out of that fight?
I think Frye pretty much hit the nail on the head. Don't want to add too much on what he said, but I think Derek Lewis must be down to Miami hanging out with Mr. Masvidal because I've never seen him throw that before. I throw it with him in the video game all the time, but I've never actually seen him throw it in person. But love to see it. I'm glad he put the Brazilian to sleep. And as I love to say on this podcast, USA in the zone.
Yep. The only thing I've ever seen him throw even similar to that was when he threw the
spinning back kick.
The kick against Ngannou that messed up his back for the entire fight. The jumping switch kick. But yeah, man, shout out to Derek Lewis again. He cut a great promo after the fight, as he always does. It feels like Derek Lewis only loses in Houston, which is not the best way to go about it. But we're glad he got back on track. We are Derek Lewis fans on this podcast, and Frye, as we get out of UFC talk, man, you got any kind of last thoughts on that card before we get out and start talking some ball?
Honestly, a great card all around. I mean, heavyweight action, you like to see knockouts. Got to see a crazy knockout. I mean, big time fights. You want to see it competitive. You want to see a finish. You got that with Dustin and Justin. I mean, that was definitely one of the best cards we've gotten to watch in the recent UFC events. That was great.
I mean, both the last two cards have been absolute bangers. Both 290 and 291 have been two of the best cards that I've personally ever seen. And I think the next card is Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley. I think it's 292. It's not until like I think it's like August 21st or August 20th or something like that. But anyway, I hope that card can continue the hype because that's another one I'm going to be very excited for.
Yeah, man. Dana White's pumping them out. The matchmakers are doing a damn good job so far in this 2023 cycle. But that's all we have UFC-wise. We'll keep going with the picks as the main cards come out. But that was a super fun card for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As we get into it, man, we said at the beginning of the podcast, August 1st, football season starts. Well, football season starts on Thursday, Ward. We get our first preseason game. We've got Jets versus Browns at 8 p.m. Eastern in the Hall of Fame game. Obviously, we're not looking to see any crazy stuff happening, but just to hear the pads popping, see some guys at the low end of the roster get a chance, man, and nothing's better than football season.
Football is back, baby. Hey, play Kenny Chesney. The boys of fall.
Shout out to Kenny
season's
Chesney.
back, baby.
If I do that, our Instagram post will get taken down, Ward. So I gotta watch it. But
Instagram is not for America. I guess the Chinese took over Instagram as well. How you gonna take Toby Keith down?
that's what I said, man.
That's like spitting on an American flag. That's like slapping a baby.
Yeah. If those two things happen, Ward, I would actually be more upset about the Instagram post. But Frye, you got any big thoughts? I mean, obviously it's the Hall of Fame game. Nothing's going to happen. But do you have any thoughts? Get your first look at Aaron Rodgers in a Jets uniform. Nathaniel Hackett on the sideline. Do you got any big aspirations for this game on Thursday? Will you even be watching the game on Thursday?
When it comes to Hall of Fame games and preseason, man, I think it's the biggest hoax. You might feel like your team's going into the season looking strong, and then you go out and you lose the first 5. So I kind of cut it. I'll listen to the news and listen to my podcast on the teams I like. But as far as preseason and Hall of Fame games go, I'm not going to be tuning in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share that sentiment. I'm a sicko. I'm going to be watching on Thursday for sure. And I'll be naming third string guys that played at certain schools because I'm a sicko, obviously. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton are in quite the war of words right now. Sean Payton did an interview on local Denver radio talking about how bad this roster was constructed last year, how terrible of a coaching job that the former coach Nathaniel Hackett did. Basically, one, saying this isn't Russ's fault, and two, if we stink, it's not my fault either. Aaron Rodgers came out and said that exact thing in the interview, and ended the interview by saying, "Keep my coach's name out of your mouth," referring to Nathaniel Hackett, who was the former Broncos head coach and now the OC for the Jets. Obviously, they're not going to be seeing each other on the field, popping pads with each other, but to get a little bit of a preseason drama with no one better than Aaron Rodgers to tell us about preseason drama. What was your guys' takeaway from that? Whose side are you on maybe, but just kind of the underlying message in this going on right now.
Very surprising.
Like Sean Payton. Oh, go ahead, Wade.
Very, very surprising. I thought as from Sean Payton being as big of a veteran and as big of a coach, he's been around forever. I thought this was very much a very much immature act for him. Very surprising to me that he dropped down to the level. Coaches don't do this. This isn't something that coaches, maybe at the high school level, but these guys are in the National Football League and they have other coaches that look up to them. Not a good look, but good for Aaron Rodgers. Good for Aaron Rodgers going into a new program. Obviously, he's had Nathaniel Hackett with him in the past in Green Bay, but good for him publicly standing up for his coach. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers has such a fan pool, and there's so many people that back him. There's a lot of people that are backing Nathaniel Hackett now. So that's my take on it.
I think as far as Sean Payton goes, he probably ought to keep his mouth shut with the year that Russ had last year. I think I just stay cool and if it works out for him, it works out. But if not, I just keep my mouth shut. And but I definitely respect Aaron Rodgers for standing up for his coach as he should have. So
I want to say on the point of Aaron Rodgers, man, the guy, as much of a headache as he was for Green Bay, he's done everything right since he got to New York. He takes a pay cut. He took a $35 million pay cut so they could get more guys on the roster, make room for Dalvin Cook. He's backing up all these guys. Him and Sauce are like best friends, which if you would have told me who would he be best friends with on that football team, Sauce Gardner would not have been my first pick. But as a Green Bay fan, you got to be kind of upset after all the drama that's happened the past few off seasons with Aaron Rodgers, and then he gets to New York and he just becomes the model teammate and the best guy in the world. So it's funny, but these guys have to come out and perform at the end of the day. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to do really well this season.
I'm so excited to see these guys play, man. I'm so excited. Even just Thursday night, Zach Wilson's going to get a crack. You're going to see him play. Even the one I'm most excited to see play is Zonovan Knight. As anybody knows who Zonovan Knight is, NC State guy. He was a great running back at NC State, local guy. He's from Southern Nash, which is 30 minutes down the road. So, kind of was playing against this guy when we were 16, and now obviously he made it big. So he's down the depth chart a little bit, but extremely excited to see these guys play. I'm just so glad football's back. I hate turning on ESPN at night and watching baseball.
Football's back, man. Jonathan Knight, the second most well-known BAM in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, the second most well-known BAM. Quote that.
But as we move on, a little bit of a scary video surfacing in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area. Joe Burrow with a very scary video to start.
Yeah.
Right now it's just a calf strain, but man, I thought that Achilles had snapped or something.
I did too.
You know, you never want to see injuries, and I'm glad that Joe is healthy. I wouldn't touch a football field until we got this deal done, this extension done. But one, you know, what did you guys think when you first saw that video come out? And, you know, now that we know that it's just a calf strain, do you think it'll affect the overall product of the Cincinnati Bengals offense? And Ward, I'll let you go and start it out.
It was very surprising to me. I saw Jalen Ramsey got hurt probably 30 minutes before, and then I saw this video and I was like, holy shit. And the way it looked awful. I know right now they're only calling it a calf strain. I've been following it a little bit on Twitter, or I'm sorry, it's not called Twitter anymore. It's called X now. So I've been following it on X, and then there's videos coming out of him like walking around on crutches. He's not putting any weight on his foot, or on his leg. I'm curious if they have downgraded it. You know, obviously they're targeting a week 1 return. I hope Joe Burrow plays week 1, but I'm curious if all it is a strained calf, if there's a little more going on in there than that's actually showed. I don't know, but I hope he gets better. I hope he come back and plays week 1 and we get that. Cam, I know obviously we don't wish anybody to be hurt, but I know for your case, you probably, you know, having to play the Bengals twice a year, you wouldn't mind playing the backup twice. But
I wouldn't mind it, but I will say, like, there's only a few guys in my life I've wished injury on. TJ Houtsmanzada being one of them. Vontaze Burfict being the other. But besides that, man, like I'm cool with everybody. I'd rather beat a full healthy Bengals team than I guess is their backup still Ryan Finley?
I don't know who they are.
Whoever their backup.
I don't know who Ryan Finley plays for now.
I'd rather put a beat down on Joe Burrow, but you know, that hasn't happened the past few seasons. But you know, I don't wish injury on anybody except for those two guys at that time of my life. Frye, did you have any, you know, crazy thoughts when you first saw this, and kind of now that it's been downgraded, at least to our knowledge?
I threw in the chat. I didn't want to overreact. You know, I didn't want to be the guy that freaked out. You know, because obviously big time fantasy player here, and you know he's on my board, so I didn't want to freak out. I saw that Ian Rappaport threw out it was a calf strain relatively shortly after. And I don't know if they're downplayed or not, but that was just kind of what I saw, and I threw it in the chat.
I'll say different sports, but when Kevin Durant was with the Warriors, he had a very similar thing happen, which then turned into a ruptured Achilles. So we hope that Joe, you know, takes his time and doesn't get rushed back here.
Maybe he doesn't rush back. That's the thing.
Yeah, because you don't want to turn a 6 or 8 week injury into a 1.5 year injury. But like I said, dude, do not touch a football. Don't touch a football field until you get your name on the dotted line and become the highest paid quarterback in football, because we don't need a guy like that to lose out on hundreds of millions of dollars for no reason. But you touched on another guy, Ward. Jalen Ramsey had to get a surgery. He's going to be out till December, it looks like, at least. How does that affect the Dolphins? Obviously, that's, you know, one of the best corners in the league getting off your team, but also, like, I've seen some like murmurs of bad faith from the LA Rams, like they may have known that this was kind of a problem and didn't disclose it when the trade happened. So I want to get your thoughts, one, on the impact for the Dolphins and the entire AFC, to be a matter of fact, and also, like, have you heard the same things of the bad faith? And
I have not heard that. I was watching video. I saw a bunch of videos of him at camp, and his footwork looks great. He's out there full pad, well, not full pads, but shoulder pads and a helmet. And, you know, he's running, he's doing ladder drills, he's doing cutback drills. He looks great. I mean, his footwork looks good. I couldn't tell that if there was something prior, but I hate it for him, man. You know, I obviously never wish injury on anybody, but you know, a guy like this, he's battled through so much controversy. He's coming on to a new team, and the Dolphins, you know, were ranked 27th last season in passing yards per game. They add the arguably best corner in the NFL to their team. Obviously, that's going to help. Hate it for them. I have some friends that are big Dolphins fans, and I know they're very upset about it. But Hope he heals up, takes his time. He had surgery today, so hope his surgery went well, and hope we can see him towards the later half of the year.
Yeah, Fry, before you go real quick, I do want to say, like, as good as Jalen Ramsey is, he needed this time because to his standards, he was bad last year. Like, he was not good up to his standards last year. Still like a top 10 DB. Like, he's not bad, but to being like what he was, which was the best corner in football for like 5 years, he didn't live up anywhere close to that standard. So you hate to see him not get this time to get better and get acclimated. Sorry if I stole your thunder there, Fry. I don't know if you're going to say that or not, but I'll let you go ahead and take it if
I was going to mention that based on the year he had last year. I mean, obviously it's a huge loss losing a player like that and of that notoriety and status with his history and what he's been able to do. But as far as last year goes, I mean, it seems like as high powered of an offense as they have in Miami, I don't know how much, depending on how he were to play this year, how much they would have been losing. Because I mean, obviously it's great to have a guy like him and of that high status, but last year he didn't impress me all that much. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, man. Just in terms of versatility, though, you lose a guy that can play either side of the field. He can follow a receiver. He can play in the slot. He can come down in a nickel and be in the box. Like, the guy can do everything. And we're not saying he's bad or washed or anything like that. He just didn't live up to expectations last year. And this isn't going to help his case, not being able to play for half the season. So as we move on real quick, what's new? We got some running back drama in the NFL. Jim Irsay comes out and talks about how all these guys signed a CBA and there's no renegotiating a CBA for 10 more years. If the running backs don't like it, then don't play, which then leads to Jonathan Taylor asking for a trade 24 hours later, which then turns into about 6 hours later, Jim Irsay saying, we're not trading you, bro. Not now, not in October, not at the end of the season. Like, we'll just play you out of your contract. So more running back drama. Jonathan Taylor asked for a trade out. Doesn't seem like he's going to get it. Do you guys have anything to add on to this that you've noticed or the impact? Well, I mean, we've talked about the impact of the running back market for the past 3 weeks, it feels like. So I don't have anything to add. Fry, I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about running back wise, but we seem to be beating a dead horse for the past few weeks.
No comment from me, Cam. You hit the nail on the head.
So yeah, moving on. We'll talk about 2 more running backs, and that'll be all our running back talk for the day, hopefully. But Dalvin Cook, he's his favorite destination right now seems to be the Jets, which that's gonna be a fun offense if Dalvin Cook, if we're being honest, for the 6 games Dalvin Cook does play this season, it's gonna be really fun. He's had some injury trouble in the past few years, but that'd be a big pickup for the Jets. They've already got a 2-headed monster in the running back room, so adding a guy like that can do nothing but help. And then it looks like Ezekiel Elliott might be heading to the Patriots. We don't have any official word on either one of these guys as we record, but that seems to be the way it's trending. Any thoughts, one, on the impact for this season for those guys? Is there any, like, I wouldn't pay this guy past this amount of money if I'm the Jets or the Patriots? What do you have to say on this?
I'm curious how much these guys actually get paid. And banking off that Saquon got a 1-year, $11 million contract. I'm curious. Well, obviously Zeke isn't going to make crap. Zeke sucked the past couple of years. Dalvin Cook is another arguable one. I don't know what they're going to pay Dalvin Cook, but who knows, man? I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Bro, let's throw your hat in the running back ring here, man. Let's hear what you got to say.
Zeke, man, as far as his performance goes the last few years, I don't see him getting paid anything. And with Dalvin Cook being such a liability injury-wise, I don't see him getting paid like crazy money either. So I think both of them are kind of ought to look to join a good team already. Since they're not going to be getting big paydays, they ought to be looking at a Jets or a team that seems stout in the preseason just to win games as opposed to trying to get a payday because they're not going to get it.
Yep. Me and Frye and Connor were talking this weekend about this Jets team. If they, obviously if they get Cook, who do you see them being more like? Or do you think like a Brady Bucks his first year when they won the Super Bowl, or like an Eagles team when they had Mike Vick and Deshaun Watson and all those guys, and they bring Nnamdi Asomugha in and all these guys in, and then go 8-8? Like, what do you see for this team if they bring in Dalvin Cook?
Based on the options you gave me, obviously Aaron Rodgers is great, but he's not Tom Brady. I remember the Michael Vick team, but not as well to confidently speak about them. So I would compare him more to the Brady Bucks team. I think it's going to take them a while to click, and obviously they're in such a loaded division. I don't know if they will click. You don't know. I mean, they have the talent there, but I'm really curious to see. I have faith in Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He's been the NFL MVP 2 out of the last 3 years, and he's still playing great. So I don't know, man. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they have a very high ceiling, but they also have a very low floor. So I don't know.
I like where we're at though, NFL wise, man. There's not like a clear team that's better than everybody else. Like there's a lot of parity this season and a lot of unknowns. Like I know for me, man, like is Kenny Pickett going to take the next step? And I know a lot of teams are having that question. Is
Sam Howell going to take the next step?
Yeah, Sam Howell. Is Jimmy G going to play this season for us? Like, is he going to come in and be the guy? I don't even know who is the backup in Vegas right now. Like, who's the backup plan?
Couldn't even tell you, bud. Couldn't even tell you.
But there's just a lot of question marks.
Jimmy or die right now.
Okay, I don't know if that's a place I want to be, but I'm not going to say anything else in terms of the Raiders.
Yeah, Frye, what do you think? How do you think the Raiders are going to do this year? What's your schedule prediction? Just like quick numbers.
I'd say a game below 500, man. I'm being realistic.
8-9, yeah, 8-9. That's me too. I mean, I have us at 8-1. Our over under 7.5. So I always have us at 500. So.
Well,
I mean, we're pretty much betting everything on Jimmy G. So if that plays out, great. If it doesn't, and we can't seem to come to terms with Josh Jacobs, the rush leader last year. We can't seem to come to terms with him. So I don't know.
Well, we'll do some more season previews as we kind of creep closer. I did want to get your thoughts on the Raiders though, just because it doesn't seem like everybody's on the same plane right now at the moment with what direction you guys need to go. And a lot of franchises are like that. There's a lot of people in the NFL that don't really know what their team is doing or anything like that. So that's why I'm so excited about this season, man. We got to wait and see. It feels like a lot of surprises are going to be coming at us this year. But as we wrap up the top news and then get into our draft, man, Colorado looks to be joining the Big 12 here, which if they join will officially be the Big 13 now.
Yeah.
Colorado going back to their roots. They started out in the Big 12, and a lot of the alumni seem to be super happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12 is not happy about it. The Pac-12, would be surprised if they're a league in the next 5 years, to be honest with you.
The way it's looking, they still don't have a TV deal for this year. The season starts in a month.
Be honest, though, Ward. Who's watching that? Would you rather watch – I'd rather watch Maction than that. I'd rather watch Maction on Wednesdays and Thursdays than watch those guys. Those teams stink.
I really want to see USC. I like watching USC. I like watching – Lincoln Riley and
next
all
year,
that. But
they'll be in the Big Ten next year. So, I mean, you got a point. I guess it's just Oregon. That's the only team left. I mean, Oregon and Washington. I mean, you've got Oregon State, I guess. If I'm ESPN or Fox or anybody, I'm not paying to watch that football. No chance.
Valley Sports better come on and make a move, boys.
Yeah, man. I think they're bankrupt right now, so I don't know if that's going to happen either. But yeah, man. Deion continues. I don't think this was a Deion decision, but since he's gotten there, it seems like a lot of news has been rolling out of Boulder. So got some more stuff to look forward to. As I said, man, Big Cam takes the first preseason win of the Fat Katz draft with a 74-26 victory. I'm gonna let Ward have the tee box here. I'm gonna let Frye go second, and I'm gonna go third here. And we're gonna do a snake draft today. So back to back, all that stuff. And we're doing best sports nicknames. So Ward, I'm gonna let you have the honors here, and let me know who your favorite sports nickname is, man.
Well, who's our favorite sports nickname? Well, Willow wanted to jump up here and start trying to give me kisses, but I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. And Cam, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said. We were just talking about this individual, former Redskins legend. I am taking Deion Primetime Sanders as my number one, the arguably best cornerback to ever play in the NFL.
Yeah, he was on my list. He was a tier 1 guy. So, Frye, let's hear your first pick here.
Number one's got to be Evander, the real deal, Holyfield.
Okay.
Absolute savage, man. Big time boxer.
I like it. I left boxers out, I'll say.
I did too.
The fighters, man, they all have cool nicknames. So I guess Frye's probably going to win because we didn't tell him that before he got on, unfortunately. But
maybe going all boxers here, boys.
The fighters always have the good nicknames. But I'm going to go here with my first pick. He's got 3 nicknames. I'm going to have to whittle it down to 1. I don't know which one I'm going to pick yet, but I'm going to go Jared Lorenzen, man. He's got the round mounted touchdown, the Pillsbury throw boy, and the hefty lefty. I think I'm going to rock with the hefty lefty. Kentucky legend, man. Played for the Giants on that Super Bowl team. He's the backup quarterback. So I'm going to go Jared Lorenzen with the hefty lefty here for my 1-3. And then my first pick of the second round, I'm going to go with White Chocolate, Jason Williams, man. White Chocolate played with Randy Moss at DuPont High School in West Virginia. I've always loved White Chocolate, man. So, yeah, I'm going to go White Chocolate here. And, Frye, I'll pass it off to you, man.
I'm going to go Tiger Woods, man. His real name's Eldrick or some shit like that. So it's pretty cool nickname because that's how people know him. So I'm going with old Tiger Woods.
I like it. Ward, you got back-to-back here.
I had no idea. Okay, well, I'm taking my number 2. I'm going David Big Poppy Ortiz, the legend out there in Boston Red Sox. That's my 2. And my 3, I'm going to go R.I.P., the Black Mamba, Kobe. Well, I guess you can say the Bean too, but Kobe, the Black Mamba Bryant.
Yep, he was on my list as well. And Big Frye, who you got here, man?
Taking the mailman, Karl Malone, man. Big time Utah local, man. Probably the biggest ovation I've ever seen at a UFC event when they panned him on the camera. So I'm going with Karl Malone, Utah legend.
Yeah, man. Let me say we're not a Karl Malone podcast. We disavow, but for our guest, man, I don't know what kind of sick puppy he is, but I guess we might have to bleep that out, or we might have to take away one of his picks here. But I'm gonna go with Megatron, man. I'm gonna go Megatron here with my third pick. Calvin Johnson, one of the greatest receivers of our generation, with one of the greatest nicknames of our generation, and here with my 4th, I'm going to go Dick Lane. Night Train Lane.
Night Train.
He's known as Night Train. That played a big part in it, but awesome nickname. It rhymes with his last name, if you guys didn't know, Night Train Lane. So I'm gonna go with Dick Lane here. And Frye, you're up, man.
10-4. I'm going to go with Gary Payton, the glove. My all-time favorite point guard. Absolute savage. Big-time defender. The glove, Gary Payton.
Ward, you got 2 more.
2 more. I'm going to take my number 4 here, and it's going to be Mr. Pistol Pete. I'm taking the 4 and my 5. Cam, this one might throw you for a whirl, but this guy was a former CFL roster player. He was actually a former CFL start. I believe he was a defensive end or a linebacker. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I think that's the most legendary nickname of all time. The Rock, that's what he's known for. So I'm going to take The Rock as my number 5.
That was a great one. I didn't have that one. Now that you say it, man, I missed out. The WWE guys would have been a great ones to add too.
Hey,
but,
The Rock was a professional football player.
Yeah, he was for about 3 days. Frye, let me hear your last one here, man.
Got to finish it off strong with Broadway Joe Namath.
Yep, that was on my list as well.
Takes a special kind of man to wear a fur coat on the sideline, and I think that I had to finish off with old Joe Namath and Broadway.
Yep, I love it. And I've got, believe it or not, guys, like 30 names on here. So we're going to have a deep list of honorable mentions. I'm going to finish it off here, man. I'm going to go Irvin Magic Johnson. I think I put a lot of weight into, like, if that's your, like, people just call you that, like they think that's your name. Like, I think Frye had Pistol Pete. Like, people just call him Pistol Pete. So I'm going to go Magic Johnson here to round out the draft. I'll have the graphic made up and posted sometime this week, but if we get crap for this draft, man, I don't know, because we went hard on this one. This was a great draft, I thought. But before I go, let me hear it. Do you guys have any honorable mentions?
You know, I'm a big UFC guy, and there's one name I didn't throw in there. Shut. There's one name I didn't throw in there, and it is Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Nobody threw Chuck Liddell in there. That's probably the greatest UFC nickname of all time. Also didn't throw the GOAT of NBA basketball. LeBron King James. Didn't throw him in there. That's another great nickname. But those are my 2 honorable mentions. I got a bunch of them on here, but those are the first 2 I saw.
Probably you got any honorable mentions to throw our way?
Honorable mentions got to be the Korean Zombie. We're going UFC. I mean, that's probably the coolest nickname you can have as a fighter. And then on Paul Pierce, man, the Truth. I'll go with those 2 as the to cap off the honorable mentions, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna run off about 15 here, real quick. But before I get into it, man, if we missed anybody, let us know. We kind of Ward got mad about it, but I like it, man. Comment, let us know. You're not gonna hurt our feelings. You might get a shout out on the podcast to all 15 people that listen. So don't worry about it too much. But let me run some off.
I don't think Wade wanted to hear this this list that you're about to read off, man.
No, for those of you who can't see, Ward left us for the honorable mentions here, but he's back now.
Had to let the dogs out. Sorry, boys.
Yeah, I think we had some doggy issues with Miss Willow hopping up on him. But let me run through these real quick. We got Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. We've got Shaquille O'Neal. He's got a lot, but I put down the big Aristotle. Clyde the Glide Drexler, Julius Dr. J. Irvin, Paul Bear Bryant, Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode, Kevin Garnett, the Big Ticket, Michael Jordan, Air Jordan, which is, I don't think it's that cool, but it's like the most well-known nickname, so that probably should have been on our list. We're an anti-MJ podcast, though, for those of you who don't know. Ward already said the Black Mamba. I got Glenn Big Baby Davis on here.
That's a good one.
The Slim Reaper for Kevin Durant, AK-47 for
Easy Money Sniper.
AK-47 for Andre Karolinko. Super honorable mention because Alex Novak has this guy's jersey. Rod Smart, for those of you who don't know, he played in the XFL. He on the back of his jersey, it didn't have his last name. It said, "He hate me." So Rod Smart, honorable mention. Cordell Stewart was Slash. We've got the Fridge, William Perry, the Bush, Jerome Bettis, Mean Joe Green, the Answer for Allen Iverson, the Big Fundamental, Tim Duncan, and to round it off, we've got Larry Chipper Jones.
Hey, don't forget the juice. O.J. Simpson, baby. The glove didn't fit.
That's two guys we probably should have excluded from this podcast.
Now. Throw one more out there, Cam, and make it a trifecta. Let's get it.
We might get shadow banned on this one for throwing out Karl Malone and OJ on this same podcast, man. But that's the best nicknames draft. Like I said, we'll have the graphic out to you guys here soon. That was a great draft. I thought you guys did terrific on that one. As we get out of here, man, we got full plate, empty stomach, and Ward, I'll let you have this one, and we'll get out of here real quick.
We touched on it earlier, Cam, but my full plate is the NFL. Football's back, baby. Football's back. The Hall of Fame game is Thursday. Mini camp or training camp has started. I mean, football season's back.
Yep. For my full plate, I'm going to go Dana White, man. We obviously talked about it earlier. You guys pumping out some crazy UFC cards, and it's been super fun for the UFC season so far. Frye, I don't know. We didn't really explain it to you. Full plate, somebody who had a good week, and empty stomach, somebody who had a bad week. You want to throw one in real quick for full plate?
Full plate had to be Derek Lewis taking his britches off in the octagon, doubling down. Man, I love to see it twice. That was great. Hate to piggyback off of you for the UFC talk there, but I'd say that was my full plate.
No worries at all. That was an awesome moment. I know we all cracked up when it happened, but Ward, I don't like the guy's name that I see on this list for your empty stomach, man. This one hits a little bit too close to home.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're familiar with all this, Cam, but your boy Jamin Davis, 2020 first round pick for the Washington, at that point, his Washington football team. But he's about to go to jail for the next 30 days. He has gotten caught twice in the last 6 months. He got caught doing 89 and a 65 in the state of Virginia, where he was caught. If you're doing 15 over, that is it's reckless driving, and it's punishable by, he got a big ticket for that one. And then he was just most recently, 3 weeks ago, caught doing 109 and a 45, Cam, at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. So he has a McLaurin, don't get me wrong. He got that big first-round money, and he's not going to get re-signed by the way he's been playing and by his off-the-field actions. The Commanders have enough stuff going on right now with ownership issues. Our players have been doing good. And then Jamin Davis is now he actually had court 2 days ago, and they actually came up with a plea deal. Him and the DA came up with a plea deal where he was only going to spend 4 days in jail, and the judge actually denied it. So now he's facing up to 30 days in jail. And by the way it's looking at it after judging or after, and that's a federal penalty. That's no suspension by the team. That's no suspension by the NFL. So hopefully we see Jamin Davis this year, but yeah, he's going to be, by his off the field antics and his on the field play, he is my empty stomach right now.
Yeah, man.
Hate to
It
butt
makes
in here on
sense.
you, Wade.
What'd you say?
Hate to butt in here on you, Wade, but it's tough to hear a fan of another team talk about people having issues speeding and driving violations after, our boy Henry Ruggs kind of pulled what he did. I believe you said 30 days. I'm pretty sure Henry Ruggs is still in an ankle monitor. So you just count your blessings on that one, man.
Leave it to Frye to push that line a little bit further. See how far you can get. That was a good one, though. I'll give it to you. I saw your face when he said that. I knew it was coming. I knew I couldn't stop.
Cam, did you know about any of the stuff with Jamin Davis or not?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my own joke, but I think Frye may have beat me. But Jamin Davis, he did go to Kentucky, but he's a South Georgia kid, so he's kind of carrying on the tradition of just being a Georgia kid that can't drive. Apparently, I don't know who's giving out licenses in Georgia, but they probably need to get fired. My empty stomach
needs to step up.
Yeah, my empty stomach is Travis Kelce. If you've seen him, the dude's just been fighting every day at camp, which to an extent is awesome. You love to see guys with that position have some fire about them. But if you see what he's fighting for, it makes you kind of roll your eyes a little bit. It's one thing if you're in a one-on-one and things get heated, but if an undrafted free agent is tapping you on the hip in an angle drill and you're throwing punches at him, you probably need to take a chill pill. So I'm going to say Travis Kelce is my empty stomach this week.
Empty stomach for me has got to be our backup quarterback being Brian Hoyer. I'm not, with Jimmy Garoppolo's prowess of getting injured, not looking too hot for us if that happens. And also kind of piggybacking off of Wade, the big time draft picks that are shitting the bed a little bit would be Alex Leatherwood. And, I'm not even sure if he's employed right now. And we took him.
He's not.
Took him pretty high.
I saw somebody signed him the other day.
Last time I checked, he was on the Bears, but he got put on the PUP list.
Oh, did he? It says here that he's on the Bears now.
Okay. I think he came in on the PUP list, which means prior injury, basically.
I hope they gave him the league minimum. He
returned to practice last Wednesday.
Okay.
Tough watch across the board. Guard, tackle, doesn't matter. In either side of the ball.
We're going to get out of here soon, but you want to talk about bad, kind of line of first round picks. Talk to old Jay Frye about first round picks in Raiders uniforms. They don't seem to work out very often, which as a Steelers fan, I don't have much ground to stand on. The only good first round pick we've had is TJ Watt, and we traded one for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Those are the only two guys we've hit on so far, like in the past 10 years. So it's a tough life.
Usually if we hit on a guy, I mean it's later rounds. Like Max Crosby, I think he was a third round pick or something like that. I mean, the guys we have producing for us are definitely later round picks. We always fumble the bag when it comes to first round picks.
Yeah, but we got Song of the Week coming up, but I want to say we will have some NFL previews coming up here soon. Some position by position rankings or tier list kind of coming up. But as football starts to ramp up, I think by week 1 we probably won't be doing drafts anymore. Probably save that for after the season, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, man, I want to remind everybody real quick, Instagram, YouTube, or Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. I keep messing that up. At TheFatKatz Pod, and then YouTube and Spotify. Fat Katz Podcast, KATZ. Boys, let's get out of here with Song of the Week. I'm going to go 13 Silver Dollars by Coulter Wall. Ward, what's your Song of the Week, man?
Boys of Fall, baby. Kenny Chesney.
Frye, round us out here, man.
You have to go with Tyler Childers' new song, man. And the music video, me and Ward have been listening to that quite a bit together. So just wanted to throw that out as the Song of the Week, man.
What song? Tyler Childers' new song?
Tyler Childers' new song, man.
I haven't heard that. You're talking about Jason Aldean's new song?
Fill him in, Cam. Fill him in. We're drawing blanks here, man.
Yeah, it's a good song, man. Everybody go listen. Maybe skip the music video. Maybe go check it out if you like Tyler Childers. We're not going to get into it on the podcast. That's all we have this week. If you made it this far, Ward owes you a beer. I owe you I don't know what I owe you, a cigarette maybe. Frye owes you a smack on the butt. And that was the Fat Katz podcast, episode 18.
Great pod, boys.
Peace.